on a starting lineup yet, and can you tell us who's going to be?
Yeah, we're going to start same group except Morris instead of Baines.
Brad and Mike from Vice Sports. Al Horford's post-ups have been a bigger and kind of better part of your offense in this playoffs since compared to last year's postseason and the regular season. Just how important are they to your offense right now in this series? How critical do you think they're going to be?
Well, it's kind of the last two series have been, the way he was guarded. People were really taking away his three. They were switching him a lot, so that provided more opportunity to post. It just depends on how he's being guarded. So he's a guy that can step out behind the three-point line. He can play make for us if he's playing against closeouts, and he can post up. Especially against a switching group. So, there's a lot of options there, but it's more about how he's being guarded than necessarily just because he's versatile enough to do a bunch of different things.
Brad, Mike Petralia, CLNS Media. How big of a difference is it between trying to match what they're doing and trying to keep what you're doing?
No, I think you go into the series and you try to do what you do best. You've got to play the way that you play on both ends of the court with appropriate tweaks, and so it's a big challenge against a team like this. They're playing great on both ends, and we know that. So I just think that, without, one of our things this whole playoffs has been with this group is we need to just do what we do best first and foremost, and then, again, make the smaller appropriate tweaks that need to be made.
Steve Ashman, NBA.com. How much, when you enter a series like this, do you go off your team's experience against the opponent versus how they've done it in the last two rounds and how they're playing currently?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. I think, obviously, the way that they played against the Toronto series probably reminds us all of the Cavs in the last couple of years. I think that the plays that not only LeBron's making, but the guys around him are making, and the chemistry that they've developed off the ball, and the actions they're running. There's a lot that makes you think like this is another really, really good Cavs team that's peaking at the right time. But at the same time, I think you look at what you've done, what you can do better, and then, obviously what was good and bad from the first two rounds.
Coach Mark Luca, Celtics.com. With Marcus Morris going in and Aaron Baines going off, you've talked all season about your players just basically being selfless and not caring about starting and coming off the bench. How has that selflessness served you guys in a positive way this season from the bottom on the roster?
Well, I've said this before. I think Baines, we've done this with Baines all year against certain matchups, and he knew when we got together on whatever day it was that was the most likely scenario. So he didn't even step on the floor with the first group. He knows that obviously Love at the 5 is a unique coverage, and then just as many versatile guys out there as possible to guard LeBron and the other guys on the court. And so, I've said this not enough times that you can't have better leaders than Alan Baines. Like, you can't. They're both our two oldest players. They are totally selfless. They are totally in it for the team. They wrap their arms around young guys. Young guys feel ownership with them. Like, it's as good as it gets. So being able to take him in and out of the lineup has been set a great example for everybody else. And then so when a guy like Jaylen's coming off injury last series, he just knows that that's just part of it. Sometimes you don't start the next game, and I think that's a really good situation to be in. It's due to the leadership of those guys.
Coach Bob Schramm, the Sixers. So much is made about pace, and LeBron is so extraordinary in the open court. How important is it to offensive execution and preventing turnovers?
Yes, I think getting great shots every time down the floor is absolutely at a premium. You can't take bad ones. You can't throw the ball away because they don't run all the time, but they're so opportunistic, and he's so good at not only getting downhill but making plays for others. And when they run to the 3-point line, and they just go on these barrages and kill people. And so, offensive efficiency, effectiveness is really important.
Brad, you brought up Jaylen. How is he doing with that hamstring, and what's the latest with his minutes restriction?
Yeah, he's great. I was told he couldn't play 48 today. So I'll make sure that I try to, heed that advice.
How important is George Hill to Cleveland?
Really important. I don't think it's a coincidence that when in Game 7 he came in and played the way he did against Indiana, and then the way he played in the Toronto series. He's another guy that can really shoot the ball, play off the ball, but then he's also a guy that can be the primary pick and roll ball handler, so that either Love can play with him in the pick and roll, which is a problem, or LeBron can be a setter, which is a problem. And that obviously they've played some lineups even when LeBron hasn't been on the court, and they've been effective in that Toronto series with him and Love, especially in that. And that's a bear. He's played really well. He's used to this, to being in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's been there many times before. He's a winning player. He plays both ends. He's been good.
Ty's talked a lot about the changes that he makes to his coverages defensively in the postseason and the regular season. When you watch them on film, are they guarding teams differently in the postseason than what you've noticed in the regular season? I don't know how much you actually study the regular season film, but do you notice a difference in the way that they're guarding teams now than as opposed to the regular season, even in the past series?
More blitzing, more switching. Yeah, more blitzing, more switching. And probably, when you put Tristan Thompson out there, he can do a little bit of both, right? Their wings mix up how they guard. Sometimes they'll switch, sometimes Korver especially will show. But more blitzing, more switching is the most obvious answer. But they do a really good job of that. Ty's great about not only mixing up coverages, but also mixing up lineups. And they've got a lot of different lineups they can go to on this team. And I think, another guy that doesn't get talked about a lot, that we're all very familiar with here, that's made a big difference in that lineup flexibility is Jeff Green. Because he can play the 4, he's played some 5 with LeBron on the court, he's played some 3, it's a bunch of different guys that can do a bunch of different things, and it allows you to have more defensive options, and they've done a good job with that.
Brad, what's it like having LeBron in your team's path 3 of the last 4 years? It was an opportunity, challenge, torment. How do you?
It's great. I mean, at the end of the day, we'd rather be playing than him be in our path, right? I mean, we get a chance to compete against the best player of this generation, and that is pretty special. And our guys look forward to it. But we can't be focused on LeBron versus the Celtics. It's the Cavs versus the Celtics. And the last series proved those guys averaged 84 points a game last series, the rest of the team. And Love's playing great, Korver's playing great, Smith got it rolling. Hill we talked about. You go down the list, and oh, by the way, the best players setting them up. And so it's such a, it's not Celtics versus him, it's Celtics versus them. And he's obviously the engine to it. But what a great opportunity, especially with our guys. It's something that we should only be looking forward to. Thanks.
Thank you.